Some miracles involved in here.
I want to hear all of them.
It was not what I was looking for. His resume is like a disaster.
This was a fear of mine. My parents are divorced, and I grew up not knowing my father at all.
I did not have a long list, but it was like, no Hasidish, like, nope. Had I known that he had payas when he was a kid, I would have said no. I would not have went out. Like, it was just, I was in jeans when I was 6 years old. You know, like, it was very different in that sense. When he was suggested to me, and I was like, I'm not so interested. And we were gonna say no. That night, I go to a wedding. Lo and behold,
No way.
Avromi Basch is the saxophonist at the wedding, and apparently he was hired the night before for this wedding.
Yeah, and there was already another saxophonist on the job. There was like no reason for me to be there. I see her there. I walk straight over to her. She was standing with her friend.
He's coming over. It's like so much confidence, just like walk over to me, talk to me. And then he literally like didn't talk to me at all the rest of the night. He like disappears. I was like, did my boyfriend leave without saying goodbye? He loves camping. He's a musician. He loves that I had a band. He was bringing out the side of me and my adventurous side that I love the most.
I was very excited because the average guy who, let's say, maybe enjoys camping, typically through the Shidduch system, there's no category checkbox likes camping. There's no such thing.
It's not
It's
on the resume.
It's not on the resume.
And you're both so unique. There is Ein Od Shaindee and Avromi. Like, there is no one like you. And yet, anyone listening can hear that every detail of your life was perfectly illustrated for you to meet and be most suited for each other. Welcome to this week's Story of Hope with Shaindee and Avromi Basch. Boy, was this a really, really fun one. Shaindee and Avromi share with so much transparency the difficulty they experienced navigating the Shidduch world, coming from a background that wasn't typical, being taught ever since they were younger that they had a reason to fear because they were different. It's so sad for someone to be given the belief that they won't get what they want, they won't get what they dream of because of maybe a past they didn't choose. I am so grateful to Shaindee and Avromi for sharing with such humor, comic relief, and we may have gotten some a cappella in there. We'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Pizza Biza, making fresh, hot pizzas on the spot by their professional chefs, indoor or outdoor pizza ovens, meat or dairy, plus full catering around the tri-state area and Florida, specializing in events with several hundred people with no lines and a full delicious menu. You want to check them out on Instagram at Pizza Biza or visit them at pizzabiza.com. Best part? Mention Meaningful Minute for $500 off your next event. That's Pizza Biza for the best pizzas at your party. You want the best? Reach out to Pizza Biza and they've got your back. Find them on Instagram at Pizza Biza or visit them at pizzabiza.com to schedule your next party. You won't be disappointed. Welcome to Shaindee and Avromi's Story of Hope. Hi, I'm Tzipora Grodko, and this is the Stories of Hope podcast. I'm psyched to be here with a couple of Basch, Shaindee and Avromi. Avromi, cue the mic, saxophone intro. That's what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen. So we're really excited. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having us.
Before we start, I just want everyone to get a sense of where you're both from, just in a little quick Spark Notes version. Starting with Shaindee, tell us where you grew up.
Okay, I grew up in Flatbush. My parents grew up Hasidish, so we had like this background. They had a really open home, so I have this background of like knowing so many Hasidish people. My cousins are all really Hasidish. My parents raised me modern Orthodox. I went to Shulamit in Brooklyn. I had a great upbringing, really healthy childhood, and I was pretty happy as a kid. Grew up in Flatbush.
The Hood BK, shout out. How about you, Avromi?
So I grew up in Bar Park. Actually, my parents are also Hasidish. My parents are divorced, and I grew up not knowing my father at all. And like gradually, my mom raised us more modern, and it was very interesting. I mean, I had a pretty good life. My mom exposed us. She took us. She showed us the good life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. So different, but yet like similar backgrounds a little bit.
So interesting that like we both understand like the grandparents Hasidish thing. Like we both are like that. Avromi was like he went to Hasidish schools till he was, I don't know,
10.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he like lived it much more. I was in jeans when I was 6 years old. You know, like it was very different in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And when we got married, I didn't even realize, like when I was dating and I started telling people that I'm ready to get married, I never knew that how important it would be, or how nice it would be at least,
Right.
to have someone that completely gets my whole family and my family situation, my type of relatives, my Hasidic grandparents, things like that. A lot of times when there's like an intermarriage, like I sometimes play weddings where there's like Hasidic marrying Sephardi or things like that. It's a real clash. Like the chuppah, there's like problems. They want to sing this song and they want to sing that one. No, we don't do it like this. Like her family and my family understood exactly what it's like.
There's a comfortability to knowing that thing, but I just want to say, like, had I known that he had payas when he was a kid, I would have said no. I would not have went out. Like it was just one of the things.
Okay, this is a good
and
one.
I don't have a long. I did not have a long list, but it was like no Hasidish. Like nope. I just knew too much.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And it's funny when you have this list of things that that aren't going to work.
Yeah.
And then boom, hi, you're sitting next to Avromi, your baby's in the next room.
Yep. 3
Loud
kids
and
later.
proud, Hasidic, pay us on his ears.
Yep.
So let's jump right into that. Actually, when you were dating, and Avromi, when you were dating, how old were you, and what were some of the concerns that you had when you started dating?
Okay. I started dating when I was 21 just because my best friend started dating, and I was like, shoot, you can't get married and like leave me here, you know? So I started dating because she did. My concerns, I don't think I had concerns. I thought like off the bat, like, oh, I'm so awesome. I'm going to find my person right away. And like my brother's 1 year older than me. He's going to set me up with all his friends. He set me up with one guy, was the actual worst date I ever went on. Like actually the worst. So no expectations from him.
Need one of those stories.
Yeah. But it was a lot harder than I thought. Oh my goodness. I did not connect to anyone I dated. I like came out of the dates like, oh, fine, I'll go out again. Like everything checks off, but like I didn't want to see them. I didn't find them interesting. I was very uninterested in everyone I was dating, to the point like 3 years down the line. I mean, my parents are starting to freak out because they got married when they were 18.
Oh, right.
You know, like they're like obsessing over it. Like they're always davening for me and always like, you have to do this, you have to go to this event, and you have to go to that, and you have to talk to this person, and you have to look better. And I struggled a lot with how I looked then. It was so difficult. People telling me how much I needed to change. It was a big struggle. Dating was a big struggle. I'm like generally a very confident person. Dating, I just lost it all.
Yeah.
Lost it all.
Yeah.
I would look in the mirror and think, oh, like they lied to me my whole life. I'm not pretty. Like, because now they're telling me all the things I have to change. Like, your hair has to look like this. You need to put more effort into your makeup, your clothing. You should take those pictures off of Facebook. You should change your Shidduch picture. You should lose 10 pounds. You know, like all that stuff. You start to think like, oh, wow, I guess like I don't look good.
Mm-hmm. Of course. And when you're dating and all you want is to meet the right person, and you're taught these beliefs of, well, you actually have to change how you look and who you are if you want to meet the right person. How does that affect you?
I just lost a ton of confidence. I was confused. Like, I kept trying to be true to myself. Like, no, this is me. Like, my hair is curly and I want it to stay curly. Like, so what if it's in a bun on the top of my head? Like, by the way, and I still do that. Like, I have like the Wonder Wig, you know, like the bun wig. I just wear, but that's me. Like, that's who I am. But back then, I don't know. I was starting to feel like maybe, you know, all these girls around me are so pretty, and they're like so like, I don't want to say obsessed, but they're like really like into it and like making sure that they're always perfect. And I'm like putting zero effort because I'm just like trying to play guitar and like move on. Like, I don't know. I was like, I'm very like in the moment. I'm so in the moment. I'm always running somewhere. I'm always doing something. So I didn't have time. Like I always used to say when I was dating, I cannot marry a guy that spends more time in the mirror than me. And it's like not a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know? So like I don't know. I was just very confused. Like maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I am supposed to be more girly.
Right.
So it is important to look good when you're dating. I get that. And
The man's perspective.
Yeah. Listen, it is a little bit like fishing to some extent, meaning you do have to try and make effort and attract the other half. So you have to look good. And I'm sure you made effort when you're dating because I thought you were very beautiful.
Thank you.
But yeah, I could imagine that it hurts your self-esteem. Like, when people are telling you to change your picture and things like that.
Or that your effort's not good enough. Like imagine thinking you look pretty in a dress and your mom being like, no, you don't look skinny enough in that.
Yeah. And our self-esteem really dictates how we operate, how we experience the world, and how we feel. And if you're taught, well, it's not enough, then what actually made you feel most confident was the opposite of what everyone told you to do. You felt confident being yourself, being natural, almost like vibing with this easygoing musician persona. And everyone else had this different persona that you were taught is the form of beauty that people want. And so, Avrami, I'm going to turn to you since beauty is in the eyes of the beholder, and I am biased. Shaindee is beautiful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
She is. How would you respond to the experience that Shaindee had? Let's start there.
Well, I kind of feel bad because I was chilling till about, I don't know, I was 25, 26. I'd say probably late 25s. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm ready now. And because I don't know why. I feel like in the guys' world, you could just chill until you're ready and then tell everyone you're ready and Shidduch can come your way.
100%. Minor pause. A guy can say, I'm not ready yet. And people will bow down and say, that's so healthy that you're not ready yet. And a woman will say, would you agree? Oh, I'm on a little break. Yeah. And they'll be told, what? What do you mean?
Right.
How can you be on a break? What's going to happen?
Yeah. Like I cannot imagine me waking up. I got married at 24. I can't imagine me waking up at 24, like the day I met Avromi, and telling my parents, okay, now I'm ready. Like now I want to get married. I can't imagine. Like they would have been like depressed for years that my daughter is never going to get married.
For sure.
Like, oh my God, does she even like boys? Like, I don't even, like, they would freak out. They would freak out if I said I'm not ready.
And do you think you were ready?
I think so. Mm-hmm. I think so. I mean, I learned a lot through dating him, but I think that education could have happened years earlier. I think I was ready. I mean, I was, to be honest, circumstantially, maybe not. I was in architecture school. I was hustling. I was there till really late at night. Maybe it would have been hard, but I don't know. I feel like we would have been fine. I think I was ready. Yeah. It just took longer.
And I remember when you got married, because me and Shandy, I'm lucky enough to get to call her a friend, not just a guest today. And I remember thinking like, wow, she was 24, so special that she got married. And when you look back now, does 24 seem old?
No, not at all. And I feel so bad.
And how old were you? Sorry.
26.
26, right.
I didn't feel old then at all.
Okay, because you're a boy.
Right. Yeah. I say in the Orthodox community and maybe in other communities too, women age in dog years. So every year that a woman is older, you feel like it's 5 years older.
Yeah. I remember when I was 22 and my dad saying like, you have to go on this dating website. I was like, my husband is not on this dating website. I'm telling you, he's not. Like, I know the kind of guy that I would be attracted to, and he's not on that website. He's like, just doesn't think about these things. And
you were right.
I was right because this guy was spaced out until 26. But yeah, and he was like, you have to do it. Like, you have to put your hishtadlus in. You have to do this. And I felt extremely uncomfortable. So I said, you know what? If I'm not married by 23, I'll go on the website. Lo and behold, 23 came like that. And I went on the website for him. Wow. Did not go on a single date from it, but I did the website.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And during this time, when you were single and you were like, oh, I don't want to date yet, when people would ask you, what was the feedback you got to that response?
I told people I wasn't ready. I never really got, maybe some older peers that knew me from when I was younger, the ones that sometimes would play a fatherly role in my life would try to tell me, like, don't wait too old. You're not gonna have energy. Don't wait.
Avromi had 100 fathers. Like,
I had a lot of people that like were very helpful, and they played a very good role model life in my life. Mm-hmm. Most people are like, yeah, okay, cool, yeah, when the time's right.
Yeah. And
I was just enjoying life. I lived with my best friend. Like, we had 2 roommates. It was a lot of fun. I was in Israel for 5 years, for 5.5 years. I had a great time, and I don't know. No one pushed me. No one really pushed me to get married.
So can you speak to those that may be listening who are thinking, I'm not really ready, and maybe I'm dating and I'm being misleading. I'm hurting people because I can't really commit since I'm not ready. Can you sort of speak to that person that's struggling with what society is telling them, versus what they know they need to do?
So I'll tell you, in hindsight, I probably should have started dating a little bit earlier. Being that like I'm 32 now, I'm 5 years in. We just had Baruch Hashem, our third kid. Sometimes I wish I'd started 2 years earlier. I don't know, maybe on energy levels or I don't know, things like that. That's just my hunch. Like no regrets at all, but I think I should have done it maybe 2 years earlier. I think that would have been the more responsible thing. I was chilling, you know? But what was your question?
So if someone feels like they're not ready to be in a committed relationship and date for marriage, and instead they're just dating. So it sounds like you made your decision very consciously and confidently, like it's not the right time, so I'm not going to date now. What about someone who feels pressure to date now, but it's not the right time? What would you tell that to a guy, dude to dude, man to man?
I don't know. That's a maturity. It's a maturity thing. You got to be mature. You have to be ready for it. No one should get pressured into getting married. I don't think that's right. It happens in a lot of communities, and for young as well, right out of high school.
Right, but I think we have had conversations like this with people, and a lot of times for guys specifically, a lot of time they think that like their life is going to end when they get married. Like my wife is going to tie me down. It's going to be so annoying that she needs this and this and this and this. I can't be free. I can't do whatever I want to do. And when we have these conversations with these kinds of guys, Avrami says, like, you can marry an awesome girl. Like, you could. Like,
sorry, guys, Shandy's taken.
we have a ton of fun together. Yeah. Like, you can have a lot of fun in your marriage if you, like, find each other's, like, fun points and bring it out in each other, you know?
So that's something that, like, I guess is worth getting into. A lot of times in the Shidduchim process, they often forget to tell you that you're looking for, like, your new lifelong best friend.
Yeah.
It's more than just like having a list of change. Okay, I was like this is kind of where we can get deep into things. Seminary Rabbeim tend to program the girls like they have this 1 or 2 year window to like push as much as possible to have like to make sure that the girls come out of their program with like specific visions and requirements that when they start dating they should have all this locked down in order to maintain this like vision that they have, like in the general that the school systems have, and that how Yiddishkeit and Yiddish families should look like.
Right.
And a lot of times it's not really sustainable, and it's not copy paste, and it's not for everyone. And
this is like our main struggle, our main point in our dating. That like this is what we went through. You know, I come out of seminary, and halacha is very important to me. So my husband that I marry, he has to go to shul 3 times a day.
Or else he's not considered a top qualified guy for marriage.
Yeah. Or I was even thinking that's the baseline. Fine. He doesn't have to be learning. That's okay. But shul 3 times a day. But like they tell you like really like, yes, you can get a working and learning guy that goes to shul 3 times a day. They're out there. And like, do you know what kind of discipline is required to be that person? I've learned like, you know, through understanding this a little bit better. Like, I don't think I would go to Mincha if I had a final tomorrow and it's 3 p.m. and I'm not whatever. Like, you think I'm getting up and going to Mincha? I'm not on that level. Like, but I thought like, okay, because I'm like, what do the women have to do? We have to just be tznius. I'm sorry, but we have not much to do. And we make that decision at the mall when we like choose our clothes. And that's like, and if we aren't tznius, everyone knows, everyone can see that you're not tznius and it's going to affect your shidduchim. So girls that are single, that are very tznius, it's not as hard as guys who are trying to figure out, like, they're learning and they're working and they're trying to figure out what they're doing.
And their spiritual life.
And they're like, and it's 3 p.m. and they are like, it's mincha time or it's shachris and they have to go, but they have to really be at work at 9. How do you do like shachris and breakfast and a gym and whatever you want to do? Like, how do you do it all? I think it's just so much harder for the guys. And I'm sorry if this is controversial and I'm sorry if the girls are going to hate me for this. I really think it's harder to be a baseline from guy than to be a baseline from girl. I think we're way more conscious of how people see us and how people are going to interpret what we do. No one's going to know if Avrami missed chakras this morning and no one's going to know if he didn't go to shul. No one's going to know.
Right. And to tie that back, so often boys and girls are dating for these checklist requirements that may not have anything to do with like, how happy will you be? Will you be best friends?
Yeah.
Do you enjoy your company? Do you enjoy being near each other? You know, all these things that like are going to be a lifelong factor because this is like your interpersonal relationship. It's like
it's not discussed. It's not like mentioned.
Love and having kids is like such a crazy concept. It's like of two like magical friends that like get to like do something insane that like really like brings out like you could see it for generations to come when a couple is like has a good marriage and they have kids.
Yeah.
And there's love and there's energy and there's joy. That's the ultimate. That is the mitzvah.
Yeah.
You know, but it's gotten warped into like a chore like thing where you got to do this and you have to raise, you know, you got to get married, you have to do the kids, you have to do, but like they're forgetting the whole journey along the way.
Of course. And it sounds like it's become so transactional in everyone's effort to try to make the best decision. And sadly, that's eliminated all of the emotional aspects that actually make it the right decision. And I love what you said before, how there's this pressure where people are taught this is the ideal guy, or this is the ideal person you want to be with. And if you follow the following actions, it should reflect a quality person. And what you're welcoming everyone to consider is that there are all different ways quality people look.
Yeah.
And if we're stuck if we're stuck with a formula that this is what I've been taught to believe is a good enough person for me, or if a parent's listening and they think my daughter needs someone like this, right? Then it could be really limiting, and it could create actually a false representation of the person they end up with, because the men could think, well, I was taught if I want a good girl, I have to do the following things. And how many people do you know that once they get married,
they don't do
everything? A lot of things go away because you feel safe to practice maybe connecting to Hashem in the way that you feel you're ready to be at.
Also, there's nothing like the early 20s religious high, you know? Life is long and it's hard for everyone, whether you're single or married. Like, it's hard. It is really hard. And, you know, you might have married this guy that was lined up on your list religiously, and like chemistry was like, whatever. And people, like, we hear it all the time, people getting married and they just like don't find each other interesting. But like they can like make a good family. Like, they're okay. They're religiously okay. And I mean, or the flip side, people can be like so united and so together and so into each other. And like, you know, life is long. Like you can grow together, or sometimes we slide back and sometimes we grow. It's a long chapter.
We'll be back after another quick commercial break. Now listen, for all my ladies and gents out there, I know you're always looking for the perfect watch, the perfect shades. And I'm not talking like the calculator, little plastic version. I'm talking the big guys, Rolex, Omega. You know what I mean. Look no further. Introducing Jomashop, your one-stop shop for all your watches, fashion wear, and sunglasses. The hard to get is now easy to find, only at Jomashop. They started online in 1999 and then just exploded from there. They've shipped to over 150 countries. You don't need to look online, ask your friends, or swipe through Instagram to try to find that perfect watch and pair of glasses. If you're looking for a friend, if you're a chassan looking to give a gift to your kala, if it's for an anniversary, if it's just a gift for yourself, if it's a gift for me, you want to hit up Jomashop. They are the #1 business to go to for the glasses that you didn't even know you wanted, for the watch that you thought you could not find. Jomashop has got your back. But wait, I know, it gets better. If you mention SOH 120, you get $120 off your purchase of $3,000 or more. I mean, it's a win-win-win. So head to Jomashop for the best of the best, the cream of the crop. You don't need to look anywhere else. Put in the code SOH120 for your exclusive discount by being a part of the SOH community. Jomashop.com. Look no more. So can you share a little bit about what your experience was when Avromi was suggested to you and he didn't meet that checklist of what you thought you needed?
So when Avromi was suggested to me, there's two parts to it.
There's some miracles involved in here.
Lots
I
of
want to
miracles.
hear all of them.
When he was suggested to me, we were going to say no. I was like burnt out of dating at that point. I was set up with so many musicians. He's a saxophonist. I'm like, oh, okay, another musician. Like, it's not working out even. Like,
right.
You know?
Also, for those who don't know, Shaindee was part of a band in high school. It was called For Real. Obviously, Silent X. That's how I met her. Black and white picture. Yep. Copying which Billy Joel, which
like
band?
A Beatles picture.
The Beatles, right. So everyone knows that when musicians are dating, it's math. Oh, musician plus musician
I'll set
must
you up.
equal
Yeah.
musician babies.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah, we're breeding musician babies.
We
currently.
needed a drummer.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it hadn't been working out until then, and so I was like, you know what, great, he's a musician, but this isn't going to be the thing that I'm going to, I have to look at other things. His resume is like a disaster because like he has so much.
Right. This was a fear of mine. Like starting to date, rolling back, I guess one of the reasons why I waited so long and I was nervous to start dating was because I knew my resume would be kind of a disaster. My Hasidic family and everything, and also I come from a tiny family of just me and my brother. Parents divorced. Like I knew that my resume is going to be this like 2-liner thing and the rest is going to be white and it's going to be. I used to tell my friends my whole life. I always told my friends like, whoever I marry is not going to marry me for my resume. This was like, I constantly said this. Whoever marries me is not marrying me for my resume. And when it came time and everyone was asking for a resume, I went into Google Docs, wrote my name, wrote my mom's name, my brother's name. And like there was literally a 3-4-liner thing.
Yeah.
And it was pitiful. It was a disaster. And I just sent it out and I was like, whatever happens, happens.
yeah.
Right. My cousin set us up, which was cute. Like that's cute.
Can you speak? That is really cute. Can you speak to someone listening who's thinking like, yeah, my background's really colorful and it saddens me to think how you said you've always told your friends that you had this pit in your stomach, like to have so much fear over something you didn't choose, thinking that it will give you a future you don't want. I think it's systemic. So can you speak to someone?
I may be luckier than like typical situations. I don't know. But it's I definitely knew that I was in for a long, hard ride. And maybe having a disadvantage to some extent, having a poor resume, not having much to write on there. So many people have like these lists of siblings and with educations and degrees and established families and I had none of that. And I knew that I was going to be like the nebuch to some extent on a resume. And I went into it hoping that like, it is what it is. I got to try.
Yeah. And anyone that knows you, I mean, Avromi's just about one of the coolest people I know.
He's so cool.
Call him far from nebuch.
Besides cool, he's a tzaddik. He's a sweetheart. Like he's so good to me. And everything I could have, when I said I really want a nice person, I literally that was like the first thing I would say. He's the nicest guy to everyone. That's like, I don't know, like how can you put that on a resume? Right. How? Like, I don't understand how that can be, so I obviously didn't see that part. And I was like, I'm not so interested. And we were going to say no. Because that's how the dating works, like you have to agree to like go out with the person after he already agrees that he's interested and we have to do research. But it was too quick to say no because like it was like probably the day after that we got his resume. So we're like, it was a Thursday. We're like, we'll say no on Sunday.
We'll do a soft blow.
Yeah, like we'll pretend we looked into you for a long time. That night I go to a wedding. Lo and behold,
no way.
Avromi Basch is the saxophonist at the wedding, and apparently he was hired the night before for this wedding.
Yeah, I was hired same day for a Thursday night wedding, which is very rare.
This guy's booked every night. Like he has bookings for next year. Like it doesn't happen that you're available the next day. It really doesn't happen.
Same day availability, and there was already another saxophonist on the job. There was like no reason for me to be there.
Right, 2 saxophonists.
Hashem just wanted me to go to this wedding, and I had seen her. I'd seen her resume picture, so I knew what she looked like, and I see her at the wedding. And I had this rule. This was like, I don't know, my safeguard rule, also my fear rule. But I used to have like a rule that at weddings, I don't talk to girls. I just felt like it's not the right place. There's a lot of, I'm going to use a strong word, there's a lot of fake going on, a lot of very well dressing up, and, I can't really know who's who or what. So I used to not talk to girls at weddings, and there she is. And I'm like, now I have a big dilemma. And like, I was talking to Hashem the whole night. I was like, help me know what to do. Help me know. I have my rule, but I don't know. And something just told me, just go over it and talk to her.
And I was like, of course I know that he's there. but of course I'm going to pretend I don't know him. You know,
Like the classic Shidduch.
yeah. And like, we just pretend that we don't know each other, even though we're obviously in the middle of looking into each other. Like thinking, like going back to my thought process, that's so silly. Why are you not going to just feel it out and talk to the person? Like what? Like this is so easy. It's better than a date. Like a 2-minute thing. We would love to do 2-minute things, you know, like before we get on those dates and dress up and, you know.
And let's be real. Anyone that's single, that's going to a wedding, that's all dressed up, all they're hoping for is to maybe catch someone's eye.
Right.
Yes.
But yet you do. And then what do? You look away?
Yes.
How come
Quickly.
if you are mature enough to get married, can we invite the possibility that you're mature enough to
Have a conversation.
And what happened
Literally.
with you? What did you do, Avromi?
So I felt that I needed to talk to her, and that was the right thing. So in between first and second dance, I hopped on over to her, to the ladies' side. She was actually middle of the dance floor then. It was not dancing, but I see her there. I walk straight over to her. She
This
was
is like the
standing with
beginning
her
of a
friend.
Nicholas Sparks book. You
I
know,
was
she's
like-
in the middle of the dance floor. I see her there.
I was like bugging out. My friend was with me and I was like, Raina, do not leave. Stay right here. He's coming over. I was freaking
I
out.
walked right over to her, and I just introduced myself. I was
Yeah.
like, hey, I hear you playing mean guitar. I hear you play music. I hear you're really cool. Kept it short. I
Yeah.
think that was like an important key. I kept it short. I said hi, introduced myself. I told her that I've heard about her and that, you know,
Yeah.
and then I walked
I was
away.
like,
said
wow.
goodbye.
Yeah. And in my head, I was like, wow, that is so brave and gutsy. Like, that's so cool of him. That's takes like so much confidence just to like walk over to me, talk to me. We obviously had that 2-minute conversation. Was a vibey conversation. Like, it was going, it was flowing. And I was just like shocked that it was just like so cool. And then he literally like didn't talk to me at all the rest of the night. He like disappears. I was like, did my boyfriend leave without saying goodbye? I remember thinking that. And I think that's an important note. Like, the guys should approach the girls,
Yeah.
but keep it short. I think there was something to that. The fact that he like wasn't all over me all,
He had
all
some
night long.
game.
He
Keep
had,
it classy.
yeah.
Introduce yourself. Say hi.
Left me
feel it
thinking
out.
about him.
Can you have a 2-minute conversation that's nice and sweet? If yes, I'm pretty sure you guys are going to pursue each other, and something fruitful can happen from that.
Right.
Were you nervous to approach her?
Very, very
I love
nervous.
this.
But I had like, I just felt like I had to do it. I felt like also maybe the fact that I hadn't heard back for 3 days, maybe I knew there was a potential no. So maybe I
Yeah.
felt like I had to kind of feel out what's going on. Like
Mhm.
I
maybe
think
maybe
most
I
guys
don't
would
want
shy away
her,
from
or
that.
maybe I really do want her. I don't know. I I was in the unknown for a few days, so I was like, I'm going over. And I think it would be if in the responsible way, in an appropriate way.
Right.
I think boys and girls in the Shidduch age should be normalized that they should be able to meet each other and feel each other out and see if there's any kind of chemistry.
Right.
And then you can get someone else involved, a third party mediator that can
Right.
help keep this appropriate or help
Yeah.
drive things along. Her cousin set us up, and she was an amazing shot. And she
Yeah.
debriefed every day.
Therapist.
I was again, like, as you know, I was a kid. I was like, I wasn't thinking about things, and she made me think like, okay, so what was that like? And why, like, she really made me like think about things. And then I had some like concerns and issues. I don't remember exactly what they were. And she helped me work them through.
Mm.
So it does help to get that third party in who understands both sides.
Right.
But I definitely think that it was important for me to go over to her. And I think people should try it.
Yeah. So it takes something very unnatural and makes it a little bit more natural.
Right. If two people catch each other's eyes, there's a chance you guys want to talk to each other. So
And it's very attractive when the guy comes over and says hi.
Mm-hmm.
It is scary. I was not gonna do that. Like, I know how brave like you are to do that. And I think it's a really great thing. I think it shows a lot of confidence. And because of that, I came home and was like, Ma, guess who was at the wedding? I want to date him. And so we went out. First
and how was
date
that first date?
was great because I had been dating like some guys that I didn't have interest in. Like, you know, every guy that you date, every girl that you date, every guy that you date, you can kind of picture yourself, like what kind of life you're going to, like who you will be with that person. They bring out different people in you. Like, I remember dating this one guy that he was like an accountant and I'm an architect. And I was like, okay, we'll be like this professional family. And like, he's like, what do you want for dessert? And I said, chocolate cake. And he ordered 2 chocolate cakes. And like, to me, like, it's not my vibe. Like, we're getting one and we're sharing it. Like, he was so like organized and responsible. And like many people are like that, and that's great. But for me, I was like, I'm going to be living this boring life, but like we'll have money and like we'll be religious and it'll be good. Like everything was like, it's okay. It'll be good. When I met Avromi, he was talking about he used to have horses. He loves camping. He's a musician. He loves that I had a band. He loves that I made a concert. He loves that I like did all these things. And we were like he was bringing out the side of me and my adventurous side that I love the most. So first date was excellent.
Right. And from my side as well, I was very excited because the average guy who, let's say, maybe enjoys camping, typically through the Shidduch system, there's no category checkbox likes camping. There's no such thing.
It's not on the resume.
It's not on the resume. It's like you're going to marry a girl and like, ew, no way. I need air conditioning. I need whatever. Like all these
Also,
things.
it can't be on the resume because if you write like these like things that you need,
Once
like
you start to write things that represent who you are, for some reason,
I don't know why.
I mean, that's just like
just
interests. That's interest points or hobbies.
Yeah.
And when both parties have that, it's great. And I was very excited. First date, she's telling me that her family goes camping. They have an RV. And these were like, I was literally going camping every Shabbos at that point. That was like my life. I was doing that. And to have found a girl that had similar interests to me was very exciting. Yeah. And I had dated, I had some really poor dates prior. And they were like total mismatches, you know, like would have never have gone anything fun with me, you know, like that's just like, they're not the type. They were going to be, I don't know, maybe stay-at-home moms, very boring. And I was very excited.
Yeah. It went downhill from there though. If anyone's curious. Like I remember that night I told my mom, if he proposes right now, I'll say yes. I was like so burnt out. You don't get it. I was done. I was like done. If I had a good date, I was like, let's get married. I don't care. Like, so.
And just to pause you for people listening, we'll be right back after a quick message from Rosenbluth, an 8-credited college program. I personally got my bachelor's online, and it enabled me to be able to work full-time and have a very affordable college tuition. The Community Testing Center, CTC, or better known as Rosenbluth, is an accelerated bachelor's degree program where students can earn an accelerated bachelor's degree from a regionally accredited college. The degree is recognized and accepted by graduate school programs across the U.S. for all career paths. The bachelor's degree can be completed in, this is the best part, less than 1 year. And all courses are offered as credit by exams. Instead of a 4-month semester per course, students receive study material for each course. Students study for their exam, and once they take their exam and pass, they have earned 3 credits for their course. It's that easy. And now it gets even better because the cost of the entire program is a fraction of a 4-year degree. At an in-state college, students can work full-time, like I did, while earning credits. And each student receives a customized degree plan to meet their career goals. They have testing locations available nationwide, and students can pretty much do this anywhere, even if they live in Canada and Israel. In order to hear more information, reach Miriam at communitytestingcenter.com. You can also find more information on www.communitytestingcenter.com or contact them at 818-974-6733. These are the people you want to call. Can you just explain what it means when someone says that they're burnt out?
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
You just keep putting in this effort, and like your brain is like, oh yeah, like maybe this could be the one, right? And you go in, I am so open-minded. I don't think you understand. I gave everyone a second date. Everyone. Because if it was off on the first date, I was like, maybe they were just nervous. I was so open-minded. And I was going out with these guys that like, oh my God, like we wouldn't even be acquaintances. Like, I don't know. Like I just had a very hard time. I mean, some guys were great. I don't want to say that. Like if anyone I dated, like I did have some like good dates with guys, but I never felt passionate. I never felt excited. I was not like waiting for the next date. I was like, okay, I'll go out because the list is there. And it like, you know, I don't have a good enough reason to say no. It's kind of like that. Burnt out is at this point where you're like, I dated so much. Like, is my guy even out there? Right. Am I like, oh my God, I'm tired of this process. It's not working, you know?
Yeah. And did you ever have that fear of like, what if I never meet the right person?
100% the entire time, probably. Yeah. Especially because there's so much pressure. I remember thinking like, you know, if you told me I'm going to get married at 33, I would have been like, cool. I am going to travel the world, build up my business, and get married at 33. That's awesome. but there's the unknown, and you don't know, and everyone's telling you you're getting old, which is so sad. I was so young.
Right.
Oh my God.
23 years old.
Like I'm turning 30. Like I feel like I did amazing for my 20s. Like I think I did so many things. I'm like, I feel so bad for my younger 20 self that I was so worried about this on a day-to-day.
Yeah.
Day-to-day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost impossible to be able to enjoy the present
Right.
when you're being taught that the present's actually a shameful place to be.
Oof.
Right. I know.
I'll tell you, in the
You
Jewish
enjoyed
community,
it.
we recently discussed this concept a couple of days ago. In the Jewish community where everyone gets married and settles down, in the secular world, it's really not a given that you're ever going to settle down. You could live with your puppy in a Williamsburg apartment
Right.
and live that life and hang out every evening.
Or you
and
could have a new boyfriend, girlfriend every 3 years. It's fine.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know?
It's not a given that you're going to settle down. In the Jewish community, everyone settles down.
Right.
At least that's the goal. And a chunk of your friends settles down rather early, and they get houses and they have kids and families, and their lives get very busy. And the single ones just kind of get fizzled out. The married ones have a hard time remembering them. Like they have a hard time like remembering that they're still best friends with that person, you
Yeah.
know? And we actually talked about this yesterday, how like we have some single friends and we have to make sure to like remember to invite them, because we sometimes do, but we're not always home and whatever. We we fall out of things. And I
Yeah.
remember being single, coming back from Israel, and every Friday morning having had to like call people and ask where I can go for Shabbos, but it's me and my friend, so we need to. And it's always like, it used to get complex, and it was sometimes uncomfortable.
Sounds stressful.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard. And so what happened when you were at this place where you said it all went downhill with Avromi's background? Can we edit another one of that, Avromi? Acapella version, that background like wah 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 wah.
Wah, 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 wah.
Very good.
What happened there?
We dated. The first few dates were so awesome. I really liked this guy. Like, oh my God, I finally like someone. I was like, yay, like I can like boys. We're good, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then fourth date, such a nice date. Oh my gosh, like so nice.
Right.
In the car on the way home, we got into this conversation about religion, and he's telling me like, I don't mind, like I don't care if my wife like doesn't cover her hair. I don't care, you know? And like, yeah, I don't really go to shul so much. And I was told he goes to shul three times a day. Thank you to the person who like made that up. Like I appreciate
They called
you.
a random musician person who I worked with a handful of times, just to like do background research.
Yeah, does he go to
and
shul?
the
And he
guy
said,
didn't
yeah.
know what to answer. They're like, by the way, he goes to shul, because it's not on the resume. And they're like, he goes to shul, and he's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And she was like, cool, we're good.
We're good to go.
Little did she know that it's a struggle for me.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know. I'm not so embarrassed to say this, but like, it's very hard to do all these, you know, religious chores multiple times or even daily. It's very, very hard to maintain them.
Yeah.
And not everyone has that. So
Thank you
She-
for saying it. I think many people don't have it. And
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
and she didn't know. She didn't know.
Going out, yeah.
Before she agreed to dating me, she didn't know that, let's say, that I didn't go to shul, because one of the references or one of the people that they reached out to had said yes.
Right. So yeah, so here we are, fourth date. I really like this guy, and he's telling me he doesn't really go to shul and he doesn't care if I cover my hair or not. I'm like, wow, I am not on that. I'm not there. We're not on the same page. It's a given that I'm going to cover my hair, and I really want you to go to shul. You know, like this is not what I'm looking for. It was not what I was looking for.
Right.
And
But just to point out, why did I say something like that like seemed so strong? Like, what do you mean you don't want your wife to cover your hair? As a religious person, there's so much pressure to, let's say, go to shul 3 times a day. I struggle with that, yet I
Right.
can still consider myself a decent Jewish, you know,
guy.
from spiritual person.
Of course.
And I understand that, let's say, it's hard to do certain things. It's hard to cover your hair.
Yeah.
And I felt like I'm not going to pressure you what you need to do.
And you don't
If
pressure
you're-
me.
Yeah.
It's your mitzvah. It's not my mitzvah.
Exactly. That's how
Mhm.
he was feeling about his thing. And to me, I was like, I didn't interpret it like that at all. I was like, how can you like, oh, I guess like you don't care. Like you don't care either way. And really like knowing who we are now, we make so much sense. And like Of course, like, yes, I cover my hair fully, like all the time, you know, and I think we're so from. I mean, you know, there's always everyone more than you is like, you know, a rabbi, everyone less than you is like not religious. Like that's how it is. Wherever you are, that's what you think. But you know, like we're trying and we want to raise our kids in a Torah home. But back then I was like, I had no idea what that meant. Oh my God, a guy that doesn't go to shul and doesn't care. So fourth date, at the end of the date, I told him this, like literally in the car, which I think is very important for people to say on dates. Like if you're struggling with something, just say it to the person you're struggling with. You don't have to go to the shotgun and discuss it. Like you can tell the person like, hey, I need to think about this.
Yeah.
Like I think he would have been bugging. I mean, he was bugging regardless, but I told him, I don't think we're compatible religiously. I don't know where this is going to go. I need to think about this. And I went home on Thursday and like took me till Sunday to respond back. I was back and forth in my head. You have no idea. It was like the most stressful Shabbos ever. I was like, okay, just let it go. Like let it go. Like he's not for you. Literally just let it go. And then the other side was me like, I'm not going to find better. Like I like this guy. I do not think there's better out there from my experience dating all these guys. And you know, maybe if he was the first guy I ever dated, I would have said no. Maybe I would have been like, there's better out there. Like I thought that I couldn't get better. I don't even know. But at that point I was like, he's like so amazing. Like we can't underestimate what this is. Like I think that this is great. But I was tormented because you are really taught, do not settle religiously. Do not settle. Like this is what you want. Like you should go after what you want. There's no reason you should settle. It was really hard. I said yes only to see where things would go, not because I had accepted the situation. And I would say for the next 2.5 months, I was still grappling with this one thing, and I was going to break up with him the entire time as I'm falling in love, you know, like, which was really hard. And my parents were not, it was really, really, really hard. And finally, when I accepted, I was like, you're like, to me, I think to everyone who knows him, you're a tzaddik. And why am I like judging you on how many times you go to shul? Like, you're going to be the perfect person for me.
Yeah. Do you think
who helped you come to that decision?
A few people helped me. So I called my rabbi at one point, expecting he's going to be like, yeah, break up. Like, you know, you call these people to help you, like make your decisions for you. So I called him and I was like, yeah, all these things, like we're not aligned religiously. I want this and this and this. And he's there. But I really like him. And I didn't, and he knew like kind of my process because I did discuss other guys with him. He's like, Shandy, like you usually don't like the guys you're dating and you like this guy. Do you think, he asked me 3 questions that I think are the most important questions. And it like really like set me in my place. Do you think he's going to support you physically, emotionally, and financially? And it was like, yes, yes, yes. Like so quick. And he's like, then continue dating. I don't see a reason for you to break up because he's not going to shul.
Right.
And so I continued through there. Still was tormented, but he was a huge, like my rabbi, you know, he says I should continue. Yeah. Then another time I spoke to this woman that I really respect, and I was telling her my struggle, and my parents were having a hard time as well with they didn't understand what I saw in Avromi, which is so funny because Avromi and my dad are I think
we're besties now.
Like
I love her dad.
Best friends.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Yeah. Like literally my dad got a son, Avromi got a dad. It's not like, it's not even normal how close they are. And like my mom is obsessed with Avromi and how he treats me. Like it's all she wanted ever. But then she couldn't see what I saw. And it was really hard. So this woman told me, like I told her like all these things are wrong, you know, but I really like him. Like we have great chemistry. We have so much fun, you know, like we're going to have so much fun. And she's like these words ring through my brain. Don't underestimate chemistry. Like I was just like, I just took it. And it felt so comfortable what she said. Don't underestimate chemistry. It's so important. Chemistry is the first thing. It should be on the top of your list. It should be the first thing. I don't like hearing like, oh, like it'll grow. Like people are getting married to people they don't have chemistry with because the entire list fits. And you know, like
it's okay for chemistry to take a few dates.
Dates, that's
which in
fine.
our case, I definitely think that was the case. You know,
I liked him on the first date.
We had amazing dates. But we had to learn each other's talking styles.
Right.
Believe it or
Joke
not.
style. I did not find him
Jokes.
funny.
Her father's hilarious. He's an Israeli comedian, but it's different. It's a little bit more like Israeli harsh style. And
Right.
it took a couple of dates and I started understanding what it was like. And then I was able to tap into that.
Yeah.
It wasn't instantaneous, but I saw something there. And I think that she's right. Chemistry should be such a priority. Then let's go, because again, you're going to have to spend your whole life together.
Yeah, it's like another 50, 70, 80 years together. Like that is the one thing that does not as long as you work on your relationship, the chemistry is inborn. Like you people can vibe for the rest of your life. Religion, anything can happen. I'm saying it's a personal experience with you and God.
Yeah. And what do you wish you could have told your old self that was worrying, like, oh no, I don't know if he's good enough for me because I was taught a good enough person does the following things, and grappling between what you feel and what you know. What do you wish you could have told that person?
I would have told myself back then, you're not as great as you think you are. And like that is the realest thing like that I'm saying right now. Like, wow, like you think you're that perfect that you can get all those things. You're also struggling. But I didn't know that growing.
We're a work in progress forever.
Right.
Yeah. Growing is hard. And, doing the stuff is hard. And I thought that, if you don't get someone like this, then you're for sure not going to ever get it. And I think that life is so long and we're totally aiming and growing constantly. I would have told myself that, one, you're not holding where that kind of guy that you expect is. Like you're not holding there. I thought I was, but I'm going to tell my younger self that I'm not. And the second thing I would say is that midos is everything. How does your guy treat his mother? How does your guy treat you? How does your guy, treat everyone?
It's, in Tanakh, it doesn't, as we learn about our avos, we don't learn and this one daven shachris ben chamarav and this one created. We learn that they created it, but we're not emphasized on how many times they davened, how many days they've learned. What we extrapolate and analyze is their being adam l'chavero,
right?
How they treated people,
family members, difficult family members,
Yeah. And it's interesting what you said about the resume and how you were concerned about your background. Again, the Torah is a blueprint for us to understand how to live our life. All the people we idolize had very colorful, so to speak, backgrounds.
Yeah, literally.
The colorfulest, if that's a word.
Yeah. Avram Avinu right here.
Yeah.
Avrami.
Yeah. And so it's interesting that we look at those things as weaknesses when I think the Torah is trying to tell us, actually, this is the norm, right? Like Tzipora married the greatest leader of all time. Her father was a priest. If someone was suggested to a guy now and said, he's phenomenal, I just want you to know his dad's a priest.
Right.
A lot of people might say, that's a big X because that's not on my list of what I was taught in seminary makes a qualified person.
Yeah.
And it's what you just shared in believing this means that the guy is good enough is such an important thing to consider in how we explore who this person is. Maybe instead of asking, do they check the boxes? It's asking, can you give me examples of the adjectives you've used? Oh, he's an amazing guy. In what way would you say he's amazing?
Right.
Oh, he'll make an excellent husband. What does he do that reflects that?
Are you asking me this?
No. I'm just giving these theoretical
I'm like,
questions.
okay, I can tell you.
Yeah. And so, Avromi, I want to hear from your end what it was like for you having this conversation with Shaindee.
So Shandy was very mature about the whole dating process. She was very, very thorough. This girl was
thorough.
This girl was not going to make a mistake. She was not going to leave any rocks unturned. She made me organize my folders so she could understand them. I was I'm this passive type of guy. I just go with the flow. I'm having a good time.
Yeah.
I'm going with, and perhaps that's part of my struggles. And she had started grilling me and asking questions about all these different categories of my life that I totally not even thought about. Whether it was complicated family or, like my journey in life, switching schools a lot and things like that. She wanted to understand these things. And I didn't think about these things so much. And she made me like really think about these things. Like crazy part. I grew up my whole life not knowing my dad. My dad went on to remarry and had more kids. That's all I knew. I never cared to ask or to figure it out or to like do the investigations. Wasn't my type. And she's like, what do you mean you don't know how many step siblings you have?
Yeah, I was like, how do you not want to know? Like, what are you talking about? I was like, I did not understand.
So the next day, I call up Bobby. Hey, Bobby.
How many brothers do I
So
have?
how many siblings do I have? I come back. Turns out, yo, I got 10 step siblings. What's up?
So Shandy challenged you in a good way. That really brought out the best in you.
She really pushed me to like wrap my head around my own world and to like, make my bed.
I needed to understand everything because like his background is colorful and I needed to know. Like I just needed to know.
Yeah.
Like, what's good.
And encouraging that form of communication is really important because that's the like foundation of a relationship, healthy communication.
Yeah.
And as we close, I want to ask both of you, Shandy, you shared that like you felt this fear of like, what if it never happens to me? Yeah. And you shared how you were always concerned, like, how am I going to get someone that's like-minded? And you're both so unique. There is Ein Od Shaindee and Avromi. Like there is no one like you. And yet anyone listening can hear that every detail of your life was perfectly illustrated for you to meet and be most suited for each other. What would you want your what would you want your message to be to those listening who feel like, I just feel like it's never going to happen for me?
Yeah. So it's never going to happen for me. That's how it was a fear. It's an anxiety that you have, but you can't control it. Like, worrying is like being on a rocking chair. Like you're just going back and forth. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. Like whenever your time is, that's when it will be. But I think my message most importantly will be like, if you're, like back to how I felt, like I didn't feel pretty at that time. I felt pretty before and I feel very beautiful now. I think I'm a pretty person, but then I felt so not pretty and I felt so uncomfortable just being myself. I married someone who appreciates the exact parts of me that people were telling me to change, He loves that I wear minimal makeup. Oh. He loves that, like...
You have no idea how many makeup artists they set me up with and I just automatically said no. I just had this like fear of like... fake. Oh.
It wasn't for you.
It's not for me.
It's his opinion.
I'm simple.
And it just...
I'm simple. I want it simple. I don't want complex,
Right. And you know what? There's so many people that love makeup and I love seeing makeup on people. I think it's beautiful. But for myself, I was just more easygoing and like he loves that about me. That specific part that people told me that I needed to change. So anyone who's like a little quirky, people told me, you're too interesting. I can't set you up. I got that so many times.
Ooh, that makes you feel great about yourself.
Yeah, you're too like I don't know where to put you. Like, do you want to go to Israel or do you want to stay here? You have to decide. I'm like, okay. Or like you're so I don't know where you are. Like I don't know how, because you're so creative, all those people out there, there's someone for you, perfect for you. Perfect. Avromi like fits me like a glove. He's perfect. He understands me and he loves those parts of me. And I would just go back and tell myself or anyone who's struggling with this right now, you're going to find your exact person.
Yes. Gan Eden, yes. Heaven, yes.
Wow. Thank you, Avromi. Anything you want to add to that?
Gotta have a good exit.
Well, you can also exit with sharing one of the first things you really appreciated about Shaindee when you were dating, one of the things that stuck out to you.
Okay, she's very go with the flow. Like, we're supposed to go to a date somewhere, and then we pass the water. Hey, should we just stop here? Yeah, let's go. Rub it. It's freezing outside. The wind is blowing 1,000 miles an hour. But yeah, let's go check out the water. She was very, very zorem. She was very go with the flow. And I realized that I'm going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be very adventurous.
Nice. I was annoyed that he didn't plan a date.
I was going with the flow.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing your message. It's definitely inspiring. And I'm excited for everyone to get to hear it.
Thank you, Tzipora.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Can we end with a little saxophone tune? A cappella version, of course. Something in the mic?
Sure. All right, I'll give you a new voiceover.
Ooh.
You're listening to the Meaningful Minute Podcast.
Woo! Love it. Thank you.
No, stories
It's
of hope.
stories of hope, though. You can do it again. You can do it again.
Meaningful Minute Podcast.
With Tzipora Grodko.
With
Okay.
Tzipora Grodko.
Yeah.
Stories of hope. Never give up. The Untold Stories. Tune in live, 11 p.m. only on Meaningful Minute.
That was really cool. You're hired.
Radio voice.
Thank you. Thank you for watching Stories of Hope. If you want to help contribute to the mission, please reach out to us at soh@meaningfulminute.org. This isn't just another podcast. This is not entertainment. This is true change in the making. And if you want to be a part of it, please help us by sharing, following, liking, and subscribing. We see every comment that goes out there. We see every like on our Instagram page. The only way to make noise is not alone, but it's with a symphony. Join our choir. If you have a story you want to share, question, or comment, please email us at soh@meaningfulminute.org. We can't wait to hear from you.